A seeker walked a long, dusty road searching for something vital, searching for themselves. They tried to fill an inner emptiness with knowledge, experiences, and accomplishments, but the feeling of incompleteness never left. The more they searched, the more lost they felt. One day the seeker arrived at a quiet crossroads where a simple wooden cross stood. Drawn to it, they sat at its base and noticed their thoughts, regrets of the past, anxieties about the future, and endless stories about who they should be. Each thought was a heavy stone in a sack they carried. The cross represented a choice, not between roads but within. Keep carrying the heavy sack or lay it down and be still. The cross invited surrender, not as defeat, but as release. It was a call to end the exhausting search for a better self. The seeker realized the cross was not to be feared but embraced as the end of the need to find oneself. It was the point where the story of me, with all its desires and fears, could simply die. This death was not an end but the end of an illusion. The seeker saw that to find what they sought, they had to stop seeking. They had to let go of the seeker itself. In the stillness, the weight began to lift. The search faded, replaced by a quiet presence. The crossroads was not a place to choose a new path, but to stop walking entirely. In that stopping, the seeker found peace. The journey ended, and true being began. The cross became a doorway to freedom. What is this self we try so hard to find or fix? It's a story, a collection of thoughts, memories, and beliefs. From childhood, we're given names, roles, and labels, and the mind weaves these into a narrative, the ego. The ego is the story of me, but a story is not the truth. The ego survives on the past and projects itself into the future, always seeking, never content with the present. In the stillness of now, the story of me loses its power. The ego is a ghost, a phantom made of past and future. We identify with this story so completely that we believe we are our thoughts and emotions. When criticized, it's the story that feels attacked, not our true self. We defend an illusion, fighting to protect a ghost. The story is not you, you are the awareness conscious of the story. Crucifying the ego isn't destroying something real, it's seeing through the illusion. You can't destroy an illusion, only stop believing in it. The end of ego is the moment you realize the voice in your head is not who you are. Letting go of ego is not a loss, it's the end of a heavy burden. It's the beginning of true freedom. You wake up from the dream of being a story. The mind's narrator fades and awareness remains. The ego's grip loosens as you see its unreality. Freedom is not found in fixing the story, but in seeing you were never the story at all. The illusion dissolves in the light of awareness. What remains is peace. And in that peace you find your true self. Science now echoes ancient wisdom. The self is an illusion, a process, not a thing. The brain creates a feedback loop, like a microphone too close to a speaker, amplifying its own noise. A thought arises, I'm not good enough. This thought triggers emotion, the body reacts, and the mind takes this as proof, reinforcing the original thought. The loop feeds itself, creating a strong sense of a separate self. This inner monologue judges, comments, and interprets everything through the lens of me. The self feels solid because the loop never stops. But it's just a whirlwind of thought and emotion, mistaken for identity. To break the squeal of feedback, you separate the microphone and speaker. To break the ego's loop, you create space between thought and awareness. Notice the thought without believing it. See it as just a thought, not a truth. Don't feed it with belief or reaction. Let it be, and the loop breaks. The thought fades, the ego dissolves. In that space, awareness shines through. The story loses its grip, and you discover you are not the loop, but the awareness behind it. The cross in our parable is the breaking of the loop, the moment of surrender. It's not giving up, but choosing alert presence over mental drama. You stop trying to fix or improve the story of me. You face the present moment as it is, without filters. This is the true meaning of taking up your cross, embracing the now. To take up your cross is to accept this moment completely, including your thoughts and emotions. You stop resisting, and resistance loses its power. The cross symbolizes the end of resistance. You allow everything to be as it is without identification. This surrender is the death of the ego. The ego cannot survive in acceptance. When you say yes to the present, the ego dissolves. The mind may fear this, but you're not losing yourself, only a cage. On the other side of surrender is freedom and peace. When the feedback loop stops, stillness remains. The cross is not torture, but a doorway. It ends the exhausting search for a self that was never lost. The story ends and reality begins. In stillness, you find what you were seeking. The cross is the beginning of true life. Why is the ego so powerful? Because it feeds on suffering, specifically our resistance to pain. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is the story the mind adds. This shouldn't be happening to me. This mental commentary nourishes the ego, making it grow. Like a wound that becomes infected when poked, pain grows into suffering when we resist it. The ego creates stories of victimhood and unfairness, strengthening its sense of self. Complaints, resentment, and defining ourselves by past traumas all feed the ego. The ego clings to pain, terrified of who it would be without it. Letting go of suffering feels like losing a part of ourselves, but it's only the false self. To be free, allow pain without the story. Feel the emotion without labeling or creating a victim. In this, you starve the ego. The pain may remain, but suffering dissolves. The ego loses its food source. What's left is raw experience, not a story. And in that, freedom. The ego is born from suffering and creates more suffering, a self-perpetuating cycle. Pain happens, the mind resists, and a separate self forms. The ego seeks happiness and security, but its nature is conflict and lack. It tries to fix itself by striving for external solutions, but satisfaction is always temporary. The lack is not outside, it's built into the ego itself. Self-improvement becomes another ego game. Me trying to become a better me. But the ego is the problem, not the solution. All striving reinforces the belief in incompleteness. The way out is not fixing the self, but seeing there is no self to fix. The end of ego is realizing you were never broken. You were just identified with a story. The paradox resolves when you stop trying to solve it. Let go of the search, and you find what you sought. Stop trying to escape suffering, and you find peace. The ego's game ends, and so does suffering. It really is that simple. What happens when the ego dissolves? Resurrection is not the return of the old self, but awakening to what you've always been. You are not the voice in your head, but the silent awareness that hears it. Not the emotion, but the space in which emotion is felt. Not the story, but the consciousness aware of the story. This is not a concept for the mind, but a shift in identity. Before, you were the content, now you are the awareness. Your true nature is formless, timeless, and vast. Awakening feels like coming back to life, more real, more vibrant. The world is seen anew without the ego's filter. A deep sense of connection arises, separation dissolves. This is peace beyond understanding, not a life without problems, but a life untouched by them. The resurrection is discovering there was never a separate self to save. The drama was mistaken identity. You awaken from the dream of being a person to the reality of being presence. Our culture is obsessed with becoming successful, enlightened, happy. The ego thrives on this endless striving, keeping you from the present. The spiritual path is not about becoming, but unbecoming, letting go of stories and identities. In letting go, you discover pure being, complete and whole right now. The ego is a loop of thought, the cross is the end of the search within that loop. Surrender to the now, and awaken to your true nature as silent awareness. This awareness is not a story, it is the eternal present. It is the stillness beneath all sound, the silence beneath all thought. You are not in the universe is in you. The final invitation: stop searching, stop becoming, stop fixing. Simply be still. Listen to the silence between thoughts. Feel the aliveness in your body. Notice the world without labels. In stillness, you find everything you sought. You are not the story of me, but the peaceful awareness in which the story unfolds. You are not the wave, but the ocean. And the ocean is already whole.